Blessed love Israel, giving thanks and praise unto the Most High. This is just a quick interlude to a video that I'm about to show to you, to give you insight into the Passover. Now, the Passover is this Friday, sundown, and goes to the evening on the Sabbath. So from evening Friday to the evening on Saturday, what we know as the Gregorian calendar, and we are, giving thanks unto Christ for, really making that sacrifice for us. So that's what the Passover is about, which is to give homage and honor to our King and our Savior, right? For his selfless act. And also, it's to commemorate by eating unleavened bread. So that would be bread without yeast, or anything which has any yeast in it. You, for 7 days, you will be not eating anything that has the properties of yeast. And it's such a beautiful thing, Israel, for for us as a people to recognize our holy days, because the holy days is the days that we should be keeping, and not these holidays what they are coming up with, especially the one that is soon to come, in a few days or a few weeks, I think, because I don't even know, I don't even keep track of them, right? But the holy days are the days that we should keep aligned with, right? So I will be giving you some info on it if you are not privy to that information. And I give thanks unto the brother that did the work for that information. I can't take any credit. So but is also a brother of our family, which we have to have that unity amongst each other. So we do promote, as long as it's aligned and dealing with the right traditions and customs of our people, we strengthen each other and use each other's information to help each other, because a house that is divided can never stand, right? So Israel, we're giving thanks and praise unto the Most High for his blessings, and also his continual love and support for his people, right? So I pray that you have a blessed day, and I hope this information is somewhat edifying to you. And you can also go to Leviticus 23, where you can read about these holy days and also the Passover, and get into the scriptures as well, where it gives you more in detailed information on the Passover and so on and so forth. So until I see you again, Israel, one love and blessed love.
And this day shall be unto you for a memorial, and ye shall keep it a feast to the Lord throughout your generations. Ye shall keep it a feast by an ordinance forever. And it shall come to pass, when your children shall say unto you, What mean ye by this service? That ye shall say, It is the sacrifice of the Lord's Passover, who passed over the houses of the children of Israel in Egypt, when he smote the Egyptians and delivered our houses. And the people bowed the head and worshipped. And ye shall observe this thing for an ordinance to thee and to thy sons forever.
Preparing for the Passover is a privilege and an honor. It's something that we look forward to every single year. The gathering together, the songs, the solemn feasts, and the memorial of this wonderful event. But the food is very, very symbolic and very important. There are 4 things that must be kept during the Passover, and that is the bitter herbs, the unleavened bread, preparing the lamb, and the grape wine. In this presentation, I will walk you through each segment and show you how to prepare each one. Let us begin. Preparing the bitter herbs. So what is bitter herbs and why bitter herbs? So besides the good nutrition that you would get from bitter herbs, such as appetite stimulation, release of digestive enzymes from the pancreas, duodenum, and liver, stimulation of the smooth muscles and aid the liver in detoxification while increasing the flow of bile, regulation of secretion of pancreatic hormones that regulate blood sugar, insulin, and glucagon, stimulating mechanisms to repair the gut wall. From all of these nutritious values that we can get from eating bitter herbs, the most important thing to remember is our history that we'll never forget moving forward. The bitter herbs is a reminder of the bitter bondage the children of Israel, our ancestors, went through during the slavery in Egypt. So here is a list of bitter herbs: arugula, basil, bitter melon, broccoli radium, chamomile, cilantro, dandelion, dill, endive, escroll, fenugreek, golden seal, horseradish, kale, milk thistle, nettle, parsley, sesame, turmeric leaves, and watercress. Now these were just a few to name. There are a lot more. And based upon your location and where you live, your region, you get what you can get and use what you can use. But the whole concept is to use bitter herbs. Also, if you want to add a little dressing to that, you can use a little olive oil, lemon juice, salt, and pepper to toss your bitter herbs in. Making the Passover bread, or the unleavened bread, is very simple. And I will show you simple steps on how to make it from scratch. We will use the barley wheat and we will grind it into a fine flour and make our bread. So let's begin. Those of you who do not have a grinder, you can use a coffee grinder that grinds the coffee into the fine powder, or you can purchase yourself a meal grinder which grinds meal into flour. So here I will put my whole barley into the grinder, and I will manually crank it and meal this into fine flour. Now that we have completed the grinding, now let's look at some steps and some ingredients in adding to it on making the Passover bread or the unleavened bread. Here is your measurements for this ingredient on making the unleavened bread. We will use, of course, the barley flour that we just finished milling, salt, kosher salt, olive oil, and water. Now let's put it all together and make us a wonderful ball of dough. Look at the nice, beautiful ball of dough right here. This is what I'm talking about. Now it's time to roll our dough out. So let's get our rolling pin and roll our dough out. So we'll create small little balls the size of, let's say, golf ball maybe, and we will roll it out into a nice circular motion. You can get a pizza cutter and you can shape it into a nice circle if your dough didn't come out nice and even. Now it's time to cook our dough. So we'll have our pan preheated already. Now as this is cooking, you want to make sure each side gets nice and browned. So you flip it as needed. All complete. This is looking good. Now we can enjoy this unleavened bread on our Passover meal. Preparing the Passover lamb.
Then Moses called for all the elders of Israel and said unto them, Draw out and take you a lamb according to your families, and kill the Passover.
Now when selecting your lamb, you typically would get a lamb that would feed the family that you have. If you have a large enough family, you get a bigger piece of lamb. If it's just 2 people, 3, 4 people, you get a smaller piece of lamb. Basically according to the number of your household is the amount of lamb you will get. Again, not everyone can afford whole lamb. Again, it's based upon the size of your family. So in this case, we will get a smaller piece, as you see right here. Next step is to wash your lamb and wash it very, very, very good. Take out all the impurities, unwanted blood, fat, everything that you don't want on your lamb. Once you're ready to cook your lamb and roast it, you can season it with, of course, salt, pepper, and any type of herbs that you want. But it's best to keep it simple as possible. Now it's time to cook the lamb. Here is a chart for temperature when you're cooking your meats. In this case, you'll be using the meat instead of fish and poultry. You're cooking lamb, which is considered meat, and it has to be internal temperature of 160 degrees for it to be considered finished. For those of you who don't have the option of roasting it over open fire, it's okay to put it into the oven and roast it in the oven. A lot of us have questions when it comes to making the Passover wine. For example, what kind of grapes to use and if seeds are important? Well, I'll help you have a better understanding and show you just how simple it is. Let's start with first understanding more about grapes. Grapes can be used in many different ways. They can be used for making jam, wine, jelly, raisins, grapeseed extract, grapeseed oil, vinegar, and of course, grape juice. There are two types of grapes. There are wine grapes and table grapes. Table grapes are typically larger and sweeter than wine grapes. Grapes also come in a variety of colors, depending on the region and the soil that you can find them in. So why are seeds so important? Well, for one, the Most High created it that way.
And God said, Behold, I have given you every herb bearing seed which is upon the face of all the earth, and every tree in the which is the fruit of a tree yielding seed. To you it shall be for meat.
And for two, it has a whole lot of nutrients that our body needs. Let's look at a few. Basically, choosing seedless is eating food that is modified to be sterile. Today, companies are even going a step further to doing gene editing. Let's take a quick look at this video.
Gene-edited food could be coming soon to a supermarket near you. What is it, and how is it different from GMOs? First, let's rewind. Farmers have been cultivating crops and animals for centuries through breeding. Then came genetically modified organisms. That's when genes are taken from one organism and inserted into another. Most of the corn and soy grown in the U.S. are GMOs. BT corn is a type of corn that has a gene from a bacterium that produces a protein that's toxic to certain insects, so that farmers don't have to spray as much pesticide. Most scientists say GMO foods are safe to eat, but some consumers aren't too sure. Gene editing is different. Instead of having to add foreign DNA, it is like molecular scissors that can tweak or remove an existing gene in a plant or animal to make food more nutritious and easier to produce. Take mushrooms that can go bad quickly. Researchers can cut out a DNA snippet that produces the enzyme that makes them brown. Scientists can also edit the DNA of dairy cows to make them hornless. They do this by snipping out part of a dairy cow's gene for growing horns and inserting DNA instructions from prized beef cattle that naturally lack horns. That would prevent injury and avoid a common but painful horn removal that animal welfare advocates criticize. Now the question is whether consumers will find gene-edited food more digestible than GMOs.
Now, after all this information on grapes and grape seeds, let's dive right in and make us some wine from the vine. Select the type of grapes you want to use. In this case, I prefer to use the red globe grapes with seeds. Step number 2. Soak your grapes, wash them with soap, and rinse them off thoroughly. Now it's time to start juicing. Now you can use any type of juicer you want or a blender. However, a juicer works much better than a blender. Now, once the juicing is complete, you have two options. You can strain it or you can drink it with the pulp. Straining it will take out the pulp and any unwanted chunks. Most important factor in this, do not add water. For adding water will take away from its pureness, and we are required to drink it in its pureness.